Okay, back to business, back to pitching. So, I have now a counterexample from Emmanuel's presentation earlier about the disconnect between investment decisions and planetary boundaries. This vehicle combines the traditional value add of a private equity fund, which is, for instance, financing buy and build, with the intentional approach of creating European champions in climate solutions. We cannot wait for these champions to grow slowly. So let's start small and build them, all led by one of the iconic asset management firms in Europe. And for me, again, that's a very strong signal that it's time for the redirection of financial flows towards truly transformative thesis. So Erwan, please join me.
Hi everyone. I really feel like a UFO here because I'm in the buyout world. So welcome to the buyout world for the next 4 minutes. I'm Erwan Olinier. I'm a partner at Eurazeo. We are an asset manager managing 35 billion euro under, sorry for this, 35 billion euro under management. At Eurazeo, we've been at the forefront of the R&D when it's about integrating ESG criteria into investment strategy, and we've been promoting this across the industry since 2008. We are all here acutely aware that we need to go beyond ESG to achieve results. And this is why I'm really delighted to present you our Eurazeo planetary boundary strategy. So it's innovative in the way that it integrates environmental solutions into value creations. There is a video, yes, and again, sorry for that. So first of all of our strategy is based on a scientific approach that has been developed by the Stockholm Resilience Center. Climate scientists have been in a position to identify and define some limits on 9 processes that allow Earth to provide a safe operating space for humanity. So we are in a position to measure the impact, either positive or negative, on any business activity. That means that as investors, we are in a position to assess our actions as well. So our strategy here is to select and back companies that provide environmental solutions, either through their service or the use of their manufactured product, to the safeguarding of at least one of those planetary boundaries. And to make it happen, the second innovative that we are keen to share with the industry is our in-house methodology. We have built this based on already existing frameworks that are already the benchmark, and we apply it through a design purpose methodology to answer the limit of the planetary boundaries. So we are in a position, again, to measure the contribution of these environmental contributive companies with their solutions. That's really important to make it happen again. It's a buyout play. And now we are in a space where there are more and more profitable and mature businesses that need to be at scale. So again, we have been investigating and evaluating the potential of that, and our assessment is that we can invest up to $3 trillion in this category of companies. And as you can see, in the different fields of investment, these opportunities are really concrete and actionable. With our team, we are working on close to 100 investment opportunities already. So it's really concrete again and actionable. And to make this change happen, we need to invest more in the regenerative economy or in the circular economy. But those are still emerging and highly fragmented. So that's why we decided to combine our ESG track record with what we have done for the last 20 years, deploying our playbook of buy and build strategy. By combining these two tested and trialed methodology, we are in a position to really put at scale those environmental solutions that many small and mid-cap companies already deliver. So with benefiting from the powerhouse of Eurazeo and its network, we are currently raising a fund that we aim to put at 1 billion euro. And it's an Article 9 fund, European focus. And the name of this fund is Eurazeo Planetary Boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Erwan. Any questions from the audience? Questions? No? Okay. Selection committee, any questions?
Hi, Erwan.
Hello.
Thank you. Are you planning to invest in only in green companies, or is more a gray to green strategy?
No, it's not a gray to green strategy. It's really to invest in companies that provide solutions to one of these planetary boundaries. So we may invest in companies that are enabler to this, to allow some gray to green action plan, but they are for solutions. So that could be engineering company to operate decarbonization, but it's not a fund for decarb. It's really a fund that it's new business model again, a circular economy, regenerative economy. We can support company to do their journey, but by definition, natively, those companies are already for solutions.
Thank you. Second question? Yes.
I may have one.
Yes.
You presented yourself as a UFO.
Yes. Today, at least today. It's quite rare, but it happens.
But it's probably the case, I imagine, overall. So can you tell us a little bit more about your more mainstream competitors and why you think they're not doing what you're doing?
For what we know, interacting with a lot of institutional investor, LP, family office, and so on, there's no buyout fund that decided to back their strategy with such a scientific approach. And what's really new in the way we are going to set up the team, it will not be composed just of investors, but also of environmental engineers, already fully integrating with our team, to allow us to provide, to the companies a full holistic support to accelerate their positive contribution, to accelerate that impact roadmap. So the way we are going to set the team, it's an innovative answer as well to the problematic in the buyout space.
Thank you very much, Erwan.
Most welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay, back to water. So the fund who is going to come on stage in a couple of seconds is called Water Equity. And again, the name says it all, with the dual meaning of equity. For me, it's a superb thesis focused on water and sanitation, and understood as the intentional pursuit of improving living conditions and access for beneficiaries. I found the mix of infrastructure and growth particularly savvy to boost returns and manage risk profile. So everything while preserving objectives and impacts. So thank you. And please, Monica, join me to present Water Equity.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I want to ask you, how many of you have experienced water shortage? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so the reality is that billions live in water-stressed areas. 1 in 4 lack access to safe water, 2 in 5 access to sanitation. And those numbers are even increasing. How that is possible in 2024? Now, water connects every part of our lives and of our economies. So investing in a more sustainable management of water resources and ensuring universal access to reliable, safe water and sanitation, it's a no-brainer to know that that delivers pure impact to billions around the planet. But still, one of the reasons, and maybe we often don't think, why is it that we have not closed that gap? Well, access to finance for those people to solve their own problem and for those infrastructure we need to deliver those services to be there is a main barrier. Sorry. Oh, okay. And that's where we have come to exist, because basically we're an asset manager exclusively focused on water and sanitation. We have spun out of a NGO called water.org. And since 2016, in our inception, we have been able to raise 436 million in investment capital, more than 5 million people with access to safe water and sanitation in 16 countries across Latin America, Asia, and Africa. And I don't know why I'm so nervous, but one moment. Yeah, I think it was not working first, so I got a little off. And this is a topic really close to my heart. I'm the Director of Climate Impact and basically trying to integrate water resources management into our investment decisions. But as much as we have achieved together with many partners around the world, the reality is that climate and their impacts, experienced mainly through the water cycle, are halting this progress and reversing some of the gains we have had. And that's why, basically, if you know, we don't even need extreme events. Half of the world, 4 billion, already experience 1 month a year water scarcity. And that's why we had to rethink ourselves, right? We couldn't just be focused on access to water and sanitation. We had to go from household level solutions, that is what we have done for years, to resilient water supply systems. And for that reason is that we basically have had to expand also our impact framework to also include water scarcity, mitigation of water scarcity, and water quality. And that's what I'm presenting here to you today, is our new Water and Climate Resilience Fund. Basically, it's a 200 million private equity fund that is going to cover the same continents we have already served in the past, but we are going to be investing directly in projects and growth companies across the entire value chain. The main motivation for these investments are basically to ensure that low-income communities, disproportionately affected by these extreme events, are able to cope. And then we can hope they can thrive, because if they cannot cope, there is no way they will thrive. And we are aiming to impact 15 million people in 10 years term. Thank you very much. Okay.
This is a topic very dear to my heart. I'm an Algerian citizen, not only French, and those months of water supply and water access have been all my life as a child and in summer, and they're still the life of my family. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, just leaving you some time to breathe here. Okay.
Yes. I must confess there was something in the slides different, and it just got me off.
That's fine. We're here for you. Any questions from the audience? Yes, thank you.
Oh.
Hello? Okay. Can you tell us a bit about the funders that you already have on board, what sort of profile you have, and when we talk about exit, what sort of timeline are we looking at as well?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I mean, we already did the first close, and they're different. It could be from family offices, but it also includes large corporates, because they have water risk. And I think something that is very good about our framework is that we're going to be reporting impacts at watershed scale of what we're doing there, right? So they. Then, in terms of exit, I would have to defer you to our colleagues, but it's a 10-year term fund.
Thank you. Next question. Yes?
Thank you, Monica. Could you tell us a little bit more about your climate resilience strategy in terms of investments, please?
Thank you. Well, I think what has been unique, and I think before Olivier was saying is difficult sometimes to introduce a new strategy, is that although we can't just decide one investment at a time, we're trying to see the watersheds, the place where water takes place, right, and the water cycle takes place. What is the baseline? What is happening there? What is the context? And then we are able to say, how does this investment is not only climate resilient itself, but how it can impact the life, the vulnerability of those communities, the water provision system, and the watershed. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if we don't save the water sources, we're not going to have water in our taps.
Thank you so much. Please. Thank you. Okay, now we're getting into an unsexy, harder to grasp, in a quick pitch than other topics. Too small, perhaps, for some of you. This is what deep tech sounds for a lot of LPs. Yet it's highly, highly necessary for anyone serious about impact. It can unlock very specific industrial challenges in climate transition, the hardest ones to crack, to be honest. And it's about financing today the breakthrough technologies which will become mainstream in 10 years from now to allow for a possible net zero, for instance. So we need to pay attention today to Marc.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marc, and I'm one of the 2 co-founders of Almanac Ventures. And today, I want to talk about why I believe that we need to look at the climate change differently. The pace, the EU has set 2050 as a target date to achieve net zero emissions. However, the pace and the scale of change is simply insufficient to get us there. But why? For the last 20 years, most of climate capital has gone into 3 things: solar, wind, and electric vehicles. I guess as a society we thought, hey, if the problem is fossil fuels, let's just change fossil fuels to a greener source, leave the rest business as usual, and solved, right? Wrong. If we really need to achieve the level of decarbonization that we're seeking, we need to tackle what we call the messy middle. And I'm talking about the interrelated, complex, fragmented, specialized, capex-heavy industrial complexes that actually support how we eat, how we make things, where we live. We believe for the next wave of climate change investing, we need to look for breakthrough ideas that focus on a systemic approach. So no longer we can think about supply and demand, we need to have a systemic way of thinking. And this is why we're launching the 1.5 fund. The 1.5 fund is an early-stage venture capital fund of 50 million euros that looks to invest in bold, untested, but potentially world-changing ideas that aim to decarbonize the supply chains. We're going to be looking through Europe for deep and hard-tech solutions that have the ability to do 3 simultaneous things at the same time.
Amazing.
They need to improve performance, reduce cost, and improve the carbon footprint.
You were very...
If we do that, we achieve systemic change. And we believe if we achieve systemic change, we can do 2 collateral effects. The first one is that we can have a multiplier effect emissions reduction. And the second one is that we can achieve an attractive financial return for our investors. But let's get into specifics. These are 2 examples of systemic investing. It currently takes over 4 to 5 years to develop a bio-based agricultural product for the agricultural industry. Think of fertilizer. FA Bio is a company that is able to reduce that to less than 2 years by a patented technology that is able to detect the microorganisms in the soil that actually affect the plant. This increases the potential to create bioproducts, take them to market faster, reduce chemicals, improve soil health, global scale impact. In the case of Jolt, it's a company that is helping to democratize the use of green hydrogen by tackling one of the most important points or bottlenecks in hydrogen production, which is the electrolyzer. By reducing the cost of the electrolyzing and improving its performance, you can actually give it a fighting chance to use it to decarbonize industries. We have 8 deals already warehoused in our fund, and we have the ability to invest in another 90 deals. And I want to talk about why it makes a difference. It's 3 main things: the experience, reach, and approach. Joe and I have a combined 20 years of experience in the deep tech and climate investing space. We have our own investment methodology that mines for systemic dynamics and maximizes total impact. And we have our own network of EU-wide research centers, as well as a strategic partnership with Climate Kick. So we're now looking for cornerstone investors. So come talk to us afterwards, and let's see how we can do climate change a little bit differently. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Any questions on deep tech? Questions? Yes, yes, please. Here.
You mentioned bold ideas, which probably means high risk and high return. So how do you manage the risk and how high the returns?
Yeah, well, for us, I'm an impact investor, so I don't think about risk and return. I think about risk and return and impact, right? But to your point, very risky ideas. Our thesis is 90 to 95% of what we invest is just simply not going to work. There might not even be a market for it. But that other 5%, if it works, it's world-changing. And that's exactly what we need to aim for. Now, I think in the world of climate change, investing, we need to be investing in many things, solar, wind, all of these things we need to invest. But we also need to be investing in the technologies that we're going to need in 10 years' time. And we don't see too many people focus on that. It's high risk, but also high reward.
Happy to have the deck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Selection committee, perhaps? No? Well, I have a question. What makes a mission-driven founder special in your eyes the first time you meet them?
That's a question we get a lot. And I don't think you can break it down. You see it in somebody. You can call it intentionality. You can call it coherence in their career, what they've been doing for the last 10 years. But they're usually able to craft a very clear story from where they started, what they've learned, and why they want to do this. And when you see that aligned as well with their skills and expertise, you see it in their eyes, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you, Marc.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. Are you still awake? Are you still awake? Yes, relatively. Okay. So the next fund. This deck first and the team then intrigued me. They developed an innovative investment structure which allows two seemingly impossible targets. The first one, de-risking the investment for LPs, and the second one, offering a controlled dilution for entrepreneurs. So again, I do not believe in plain vanilla solutions to the variety of impact businesses financing needs. And Three Hills certainly covers it in an elegant and sophisticated way. So Stéphanie, please join me.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Steph. I'm the head of sustainability from Three Hills. We invest in founder-led businesses across Europe. We're a bit of an exotic bird in that we provide structured capital, so it's essentially a mix of debt and equity. And we really do that in order to provide a tailored solution to every entrepreneur that needs growth capital. It's interesting from an investor perspective, because by structuring the product that way, you're obviously a bit more downside protected while also being able to reap all the benefits from the upside. For our entrepreneurs, it's really interesting because you dilute less, and hence we invest alongside the entrepreneurs that believe in their business and want to go into a second stage of growth, and we do that together. So, in a way, they essentially, take a second bite of the apple. So a bit more about Three Hills. Who are we? We're a fund that has been around for 10 years. We've done up to date 25 transactions. We have 4 funds. We focus on the mid-market, so small and medium enterprises that are profitable and are looking for growth capital. And we're a team that has 60+ professionals across 4 offices. We're headquartered in London. And the reason why we're here today is because we really believe in sustainability. It's part of our DNA. We believe in you can do well and do good for business. We are B Corp. We have our own foundation. And we have invested in innovative business models that have significant positive social or environmental change. And looking backwards at our 10-year history, we realized that more than half of our assets under management actually qualify as an Article 9 product. We have invested in innovative business models that are trying to close a certain market gap, try to address the social or environmental need, and hence this led to the genesis of what we call Three Hills Impact, so a sister strategy that is purely dedicated to impact investing. It's an Article 9 fund, and we are trying to address three key pillars with our investment strategy: people, planet, and progress. So we are looking for businesses in education, in health, in fostering responsible consumption, organizations that help us think through the energy transition, and obviously everything that has to do with technology that is enabling those two pillars. The reason why we're doing that is because we really believe that there's an urgent need also in Europe to address some of this, and this can be done with commercial capital. And the other reason why we're doing this is because we have deep expertise. The logos that you see here are businesses that we've either invested in the past or are currently in our portfolio. So where are we now? We wouldn't be here if we wouldn't be at the start. We're building the plane whilst we're flying it. We've done our first investment out of Three Hills Impact earlier this year in a business called Hispatec. It's a Spanish agri-tech business that is trying to help farmers be more efficient and reduce carbon along their value chain from growing to gate. It's a software solution. We are really excited about our first investment. But we're here for a reason. We need you. We're planning to deploy 250 million going forward, and hence, investors and businesses alike, please come talk to us because we need your support. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Any questions about Three Hills? Questions? Yes, please.
Thanks, Steph, for your presentation. Your model is really unique. Can you tell us more about how you work with the entrepreneurs? Maybe some anecdotes or some, experience of how you work with them and what kind of entrepreneurs they are?
Yes, thank you. So I think, entrepreneurs come to us and work with us if they really believe in kind of the next phase of growth. They don't just want to cash out. And as a result of it, it's extremely important to kind of be really aligned with the entrepreneur, right? So we invest together with the entrepreneur into his business. That's kind of, our credo. How do we work together? We are minority investors, so of course, more of the carrot, less of the stick. And we try to really understand what the business needs. We tailor the product, but ultimately also post-investment, we have an in-house value creation team that spans from sustainability to tech to HR, of senior professionals in-house that really help them try and accelerate that growth. So, we work in partnership because ultimately we align the incentives so that we invest together in the business.
Other question? Yes?
Thank you. Your investment thesis seems to be broad. So in terms of distinctiveness compared to other impact investing funds, could you maybe share an example of thematic that you would not consider?
So look, we keep it obviously broad, given that you always need to fill the funnel with fodder, and I think for us this has been done, as mentioned before, based on the experience that we have in some of the sectors, and most importantly also trying to really understand across some of the European countries what are the most urgent needs, and hence of course we have a few business models that we really like and that we're really promoting. The ones that maybe we're less excited about are the ones that all of us grapple with in, for example, the progress packet. Digitization is important, but for whom? If you focus on public players, you can make an incredible impact for some of the administrations in particular in continental Europe. But of course, I think a priori we don't exclude anything, but I think we obviously have a very focused mandate, and we're really trying to generate significant positive social and environmental impact.
Thank you, Stéphanie.
Thank you all.
Okay, I have a good one for you. Did you hear about the ChangeNOW announcement yesterday or the day before of going multi-local, with hubs created all around the world? as a way to connect locally. Change makers, finance people, activists to accelerate impact designed for that region or that area. Well, it should definitely ring a bell with the thesis of this unique fund, which could be, well, one of the next big things, decentralization, and not in a blockchain way, huh? Especially in response to specific needs regarding resilience and adaptation of business model to local needs. This is very inspiring to me, and VC takes conviction, and that's what Unruly brings to the stage. So welcome. Welcome, Stefano.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Stefano. I run Unruly Capital, which is a future tech discovery platform. So we really try to see what is next, be there very early, and find the things that are really going to drive the world forward. So we have a specific impact thesis, which is radical technological acceleration. So we do think that by just building more technology, building more stuff, and doing it faster, we're going to have the most impact possible. And so if you look at all the trends, you know, if we build more computers, we connect more people to the internet, we build more food alternatives. It is all driven by the technology. And so Unruly is really built to finance the next breakthrough technologies so that we can have more satellites in space, connecting more people, and in the end, having somewhat indirect, maybe, oftentimes very direct, real impact on the people. And so we do that through a wide portfolio. We have around 80 companies in the portfolio at the end of the fund life. We're at 45 now, and we'll do anything from fusion to algae and anything in between. The companies that we chose to showcase here, we're financing people that are building miniaturized MRI machines so that every doctor in every neighborhood can have a 200, 300K miniaturized MRI machine. We're helping build OTEC technology, which is geothermal in the water, in the ocean, so that tropical islands can stop using diesel, which is what they're using as of today. And we're transforming coastal deserts by spraying seawater in the sky and making livable microclimates. This has worked before. I've been doing this for a while now, and thankfully it has worked by finding the weird people early on and giving them the financing without really asking too much of what they want to do. But really just, we have an example here with Madsen and Infinite Roots, who is building a mycelium fermentation platform for all sorts of substitutions. And so now obviously the question is, well, what is next? And so this is what we've been trying to answer for the past year. What we have really noticed from the best founders that we find is a trend of trying to decentralize the real world. And so get away with centralized institutions, get away with big centralized corporations, and adversarial countries, and instead try to build stuff more to the edge, at the frontier, closer to the customers, closer to the final users. And so obviously, all renewable energy is very much decentralizing, where you can generate the energy on your rooftop, you can store it in your garage, and this goes for a household as well as a country. But we're seeing that very much with production, food production, metal production. We have a lot of metal 3D printing companies, and we really do think that by financing these type of solutions, we can drive, again, technological advancement, which in the end will very much benefit the people. So Unruly is at Fund 1. I raised $23.5 million for Fund 1 in the end of, let's say, beginning of 2023. We'll probably go out to raise again next year, proving the thesis. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Stefano. Any questions? Yes. Thank you.
Hey.
Yes.
All right.
Hey.
This sounds immensely exciting. I mean, really, everything you just said, very well presented. what I was wondering is, now that you can basically invest in most things, most verticals, most areas, how do you come across for your LPs to convince them that, you're a specialist or whatever, you understand basically anything between here and the universe, right?
We're obviously the dumbest people in the room at the end of the day, every day. It's a very humbling experience talking with the people that are building all this stuff. We don't understand it. What we do understand is founders, and when we have exceptional founders in front of us, they are the ones that teach us, that tell us how the world is going to work in 10 years, and hopefully, we're open-minded enough to be able to believe them. And when they really convince us, then we're on board. But it's very rare that we know anything more than them, obviously.
Another question, yes.
Thanks so much. I really absolutely adore the idea of basing your strategy on the idea of decentralization. I'm wondering about your, pipeline. How many are in, let's say, less centralized places, geographies, communities? How you get, your decentralization through everything that you do?
Yeah, so we have companies all over the world. 60% is Europe, 30% is the US, 10% is in Africa. Cities are still, a mega technology and very much in their centralizing phase. So we're not betting against cities and against hubs. And so, we're financing a lot of companies in London, in Silicon Valley. But we do see, from time to time, something that comes out absolutely out of nowhere. And our job is to be, I don't know, loud enough and maybe weird enough that no one else will finance them. And hopefully they find us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being weird. Okay. Next up, health in Africa has been a central topic for many discussions in ChangeNOW over the years in the conference section. This Maiden Fund is a women-led fund and builds on a series of credentials to challenge some common misconceptions, and they have the receipts. The African continent should not be seen, in my opinion, by European LPs as a land of beneficiaries of health solutions, only to be financed by public money or DFIs, but really and more critically as a land of innovators and founders with effective and impactful solutions, and quite fit for private money. Dr. Dami, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Dami Adeyemi Levites from HealthCap Africa, where we make great investments, we make great returns, and we make great impacts while doing that as well. Sorry. All right, so HealthCap Africa is an Africa-focused VC firm. We have a total portfolio value of about $700 million. We're a team of sector experts. I am a medical doctor and a chartered accountant as well. I have my FCCA certification. My general partner, Dr. Ola Brown, is also a medical doctor and a finance professional. On our team also, we have pharmacists, we have science laboratory technologists and the likes, just to make sure that we have a very balanced team in terms of managing our portfolios. We are sector focused and we are also impact focused. Our investment strategy is actually laser focused on maximizing returns and also maximizing impact. We have a focus on the big four markets in Africa, and that is Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt. When it comes to our fund, our previous fund, we have assessed over 1,000 deals, invested in 18 portfolio companies across 10 African countries. We have had follow-on capital raised at, up to about $82 million. And some of the portfolios on under our management, on the average, have an MOIC of about 7x. We have achieved one exit at 25% IRR, a TVPI of 7.19x, and a DPI of about 5x. So these are some of our notable companies that we've invested in: Paystack, Flutterwave, MDAS Global, Lifebank, and Real Fruits. I'll just talk briefly about Paystack and one other company there. We invested in Paystack at a valuation of $1 million. and we exited at a valuation of $205 million when they were acquired by Stripe. That's an MOIC of 205x. We had just $10,000 to invest then, but imagine if we wrote a check of $100,000 or $200,000. Imagine the amount of returns we would have made for our investors. Another one is Flutterwave, invested in at $1.5 million valuation. Right now, Flutterwave is at $3 billion valuation. That's 2,000x MOIC. That's a lot. So we're very big on spotting winners early in the African market, and we invest in them. Some other winners we've invested in are MDAS Global. They are into digital diagnostics, medical diagnostics as a service. LifeBank is another very classic example that makes blood available for women who are put into bed in Africa. In Africa, on the average, 80% of deaths actually occur because of hemorrhage when women are put into bed. That's maternal mortality. LifeBank is taking care of that, and that's a very huge impact we have in the market already. We're raising a $30 million fund right now, and we are going to be Pan-African about how we're going to invest it. It's going to focus on health tech and also fintech. And because we have the ability to spot winners early, we're actually having to enter the market at lower valuation for our investors to make tremendous returns. This is why we are different. Our Fund 1 was top quartile of funds globally. We are sector experts, like I said earlier on, and we have a strong strategic network. In terms of impact, we've been able to create 13,000 jobs, direct and indirect, in Nigeria and Africa. About 49.5% of our portfolio companies have women in management, and of all our portfolio companies, about 56.7% of their employees are women. So we are big on women empowerment, and we are also big on creating jobs for everyone that actually works on our portfolio team. And then finally, Peter was saying something about the newcomers in Europe. We have a portfolio company called Kishi, and they are also into remittance, foreign remittances. And I mean, if we have Kishi as that company that actually takes care of your remittances, then we are also impacting people in Europe indirectly by sending money to Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dami. Questions from the audience? Questions? Yes, that would be from the selection committee.
Thank you so much for your presentation and for your work. Affordability of healthcare, especially in emerging markets and in Africa, is really a challenge. Can you tell us more about what you do on this issue?
Okay, I'll take a cue from my experience I've had. I don't know if you know about Reliance Health in Nigeria. I was part of the team that actually brought about change in the health insurance market in Nigeria. Well, the plan we raised, we designed as low as $3 per month. People were able to access care, good quality care, up to the level of secondary care, and also be able to afford it at the same time. The major problem we had in Nigeria then was that most health insurance companies will want you to buy health insurance and buy it in bulk for a whole year. There was no monthly payments. We brought that change into the market. Then another way we are helping the industry also is in the area of prompt payment of providers. There was a problem in the health insurance industry then about prompt payment of providers. We took care of that as well. So that actually helped people to want to buy health insurance more, because now trust is actually rebuilt in the ecosystem, and we can actually make tremendous impacts in that regard. I hope I answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? Yes. Oh, yes, please.
Oh, sorry, I'm just new in this, so I don't know how you invest in an African fund as a European LP.
Well, I mean, I think it follows almost the same process, but I mean, it now depends on what your investment thesis is, or what you're really interested in. Because we do both returns and impact, it's something we can actually talk off call, because I can't do that. My time is up here. But I can give you some feedback after this meeting. We can actually talk about it. I'll take you through how that actually happens for HealthCap Africa.
Thank you for that question. It's an important one. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dami.
Thank you.
Oops. Female Catalyst Fund, glorious name. What I particularly liked was OXO's ecosystemic approach to gender investing in Europe. They trigger a much bigger impact on the market than its actual AUM, assets under management. Because of it, it makes other VCs see talented founders in a way they would not have seen them. The team embodies the cooperative approach at each stage of a project life, from sourcing to deal making to monitoring. So kudos to this deep behind the doors work. And please, Dr. Gesa, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gesa. I'm one of the founders of the AUXO Female Catalyst Fund. We co-invest in teams with at least one female founder. Our vision is that one day, especially the boards of the publicly listed companies are a mirror of society. And we start with female founders because studies have shown that diversity will follow on all levels. So who are we? Tina, my partner, and I. Tina is a mathematician and has been working in venture capital for the past 10 years. My background is in startups and strategy consulting. And we started angel investing back in 2019. We did 14 angel investments together, which now stand at around over 4x. And we did many things together. For example, we created one of the most known and popular communities in Europe, according to Sifted, called Evangelistas, which is a community of over 350 female business angels. We were also founding members of many good initiatives like Encourage Ventures or European Women in VC. But let's take you back to why we do what we do. So we invest into female founders because the numbers show that female founders are very successful. They take shorter time to exit, they perform very well, they have fewer write-offs, they are crisis resistant. And on the other hand, if we look at the numbers, 20% female founders in Europe garnering less than 10% of the total VC capital, only 2% actually going to female-only teams, then we see there is a discrepancy, and it's a very attractive discrepancy. So we do not only bring impact, but we bring really good financial returns for us and for our LPs. We created a first fund back in 2021 and have invested in 30 companies so far across different industries, as you can see. We have no write-offs, one write-off so far. We don't have any down rounds, but we have several up rounds that have, reputable investors such as Sequoia or Ventec coming into the follow-on rounds. We do something very, very special. So we want to bridge the gap between female founders and the very male venture capital world. That's why what we do is that we bring these two sides together, and we do this with the community that we have, which is very female, of course, but many men including in this. And we bring to the table something that is very complementary in the cap table to what the typical VC investors bring. So what do? We bring the safe space for the female founders, and we really look at mental and physical health of the founders themselves and of the founding teams so that they can build healthy companies. And all of this is obviously completely ROI driven. There's two approaches that we have. The first approach being we're the first ones to identify the founders. It's very typical. And then we try to bring the very male VC world to lead the rounds that we go into. So we offer the founders the access, and we coach them how to pitch, basically. The second is that we get invited into deals, and when we get invited into deals, we open up our very female community, and we offer this safe space that I just talked about, which is really important to us. We are currently raising our second fund, and we cannot drive this system change, which I just talked about, and we cannot reach this vision of having the diversity everywhere, which actually we're doing for our daughters and for our sons. We can't do it alone. That's why we're currently fundraising for our second fund, which will be 50 million euros, and we're hoping that you will join us. Please contact us on LinkedIn, and my email is gesa@auxo.de. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any question for AUXO from the audience? Yes, Laure.
And how do you do the mental health assessment of your founders?
Yeah, we do it in regular calls. So what we typically do is every bi-monthly calls we have with the founding teams, and we ask them, That's what we do. We ask them, how are you doing? How's the team health? We talk to them separately. We feel it. Sometimes it's just a feeling. And we've so far had several moments. For example, one of our founders, we took her to a Zen monastery because we were seeing she was really close to a burnout. So then we actually, take action and discuss how the team health can be better, or send them on vacation, or help them actually in the problems that they have in the company, which is creating the mental health.
Thank you. Other question? Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. What's the #1 advice you can give to young women who want to create their own company?
Network, network, network. There are studies that show actually that networking is the #1 driver to make a company successful. And then if you look, there's also a study by LinkedIn and by, I think it was McKinsey, and they figured out that women actually network less than men. And that to me is like the most evident part, where I can say, if you network more, you get skin in the game, you make your company more successful. So that's my #1 advice. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, last fund. Our final guest is a flagship fund for responsibility in Asia. It's a leading player in emerging markets for many years. I knew them for debt and microfinance and supporting sustainable agriculture using growth equity as a lever to transform the agricultural and food sector in Asia. Now that's an interesting approach, and I hope it will be an interesting approach to you as well. Camille.
Thank you, Iman.
Yes, it's working. Hi.
Hi. No risk with slides. What do you know about food demand in India and Southeast Asia by 2030? Well, I've learned 3 facts. 1, food spending is expected to double. 2, 1.2 billion consumers are expected to join the upper middle class category. 3, food consumption is shifting, and food demand for fruits, vegetables, and protein is expected to be multiplied by 4. All while there is currently not a sustainable food supply chain. I'm Camille Savoie. I come from Loudun. For those who know about the French geography, it's close to another not so big city called Poitiers. I grew up on the farm with a dad farmer, growing melon, 80 hectares of melon. Personally, the one I like is the Charentais, for its sweet orange flesh with a greenish exterior. And that might surprise you, but I like it with bread. I'm French, after all. Growing up on the farm, I learned the value of sustainable farming, and it is essential not only for the environment, but also to ensure a resilient food supply chain. On my journey to make an impact at my scale, not so big as you can see, I've joined Responsability, a pioneer in impact investing. At Responsability, we were founded 20 years ago. We have invested $15 billion since inception, and we are now located in 9 offices with 270 employees across Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Europe. But back to the food systems problem. We came up with a solution, the Sustainable Food Asia strategy. The strategy is based on the performance of the first fund, currently at a 20% IRR. Past performance is no guarantee of future result. Sorry, that was the compliance officer speaking on my behalf. Back to the investment. So we invest in growth equity capital, focus on companies that use technology and innovation to implement transformative business model. Those investments aim at 3 goals: promote sustainable agriculture, enhance rural livelihood, and strengthen the agricultural value chain. For example, we invested in a company in Indonesia specialized into aquaculture. And this really much fulfilled what I just mentioned, not only in improve the life of the fishermen, but it also brings sustainable, fresh protein at scale. We launched the fund last year with the first close at 174 million, and we are now looking for 100 million more. If you are interested, please contact me, scan the QR code, and I will be happy to be in touch. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Camille.
Thank you.
Questions on sustainable food strategy in Asia? Thank you. Yes.
Hello, Camille.
It should be working.
Behind you.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for your presentation. Just a quick question. Could you please provide another example than the company you've mentioned, the fishing company, and maybe why this type of company choose to work with you?
That's a good question. Thank you. Another example. We invested in India in a marketplace which link the farmer, the smallholder farmers, and the end consumer. Because the problem in India, and actually in lot of other emerging markets, is that you have the farmer and then 4, 5, 6, sometimes more middlemen, which add little value, not to say any value on the product, just increasing the price. And the companies that we invested in, they reduce the supply chain. So not only from a social perspective, it increased the revenue of the smallholder farmers. On the end consumer, you pay less. And at the same time, because the supply chain is less important, it has a climate impact, less transport, etc. On your second part of the question, I think they come to us because we are sector specialists. We have been investing in food and ag during 20 years. Second, those are mostly targeting IPO, and they know that once this time comes, they will have to face ESG impact issue. So they have to be ready. So they want to speak to an impact specialist and a sector specialist. So they like to talk with someone that they can relate on. And lastly, I think it's really important.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Last question, yes, because we had another question. Thank you. And please follow the conversation with the rest of the answer. Yes.
Thank you. I have a question in regards to your investments in Southeast Asia in terms of what your plans are for resilience and adaptation solutions. For example, your aquaculture farm in Indonesia, if it's a tsunami that hits or any other climate shock, what are your prevention measures that you're putting in place for it not to spill in the ocean and create a devastating marine issue? And the same for your India case, please. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Adaptation is a big topic. If there is a tsunami for our aquaculture company, I guess that's a big risk, that's for sure. But I guess if it's a tsunami in Indonesia, that will be a risk for everyone. So that might be difficult for the company to live with that. But that's part of our assessment, adaptation risk, climate. We have other funds which are dedicated to adaptation, actually. So we have the in-house specialist towards adaptation, and which can assess this part of the risk. Because yes, it is yes, that's true that it is a risk.
Thank you, and please follow up with the conversation at the networking section. Thank you, Camille.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, thank you for your patience. We're finished for this session. Marie, Emmanuel, please join me. We would really like to thank you for your attention. We're really thrilled to have worked and collaborated with the ChangeNOW team, Marie Suduka, who's in charge of the investor relation at ChangeNOW. Thank you for designing and co-designing with us this amazing event. I hope each and every one of you gathered the insights, were sometimes a bit disturbed as well, and not necessarily agreed with every single thing that was said. And I hope it will sparkle the conversation, because right now we invite you all to go to the networking section right here, Champ de Mars 1, because we're actually super, super late and some other people are waiting to take the stage. So thank you everybody for your attention. And please, for the pictures, stand up so that we can see you. And thank you, thank you.